Hey everyone, welcome back to Tyler's Coffee Talks. I've got a really interesting guest, Valerie. Valerie has done a lot of amazing things in her life, and we are honored and blessed for her to be on our show. And really quickly, I was on your show a while back, but it's an honor to be having you as a guest, and you are super insightful. So just tell the viewers what you do, how you do it, why you do it, and yeah, let's get in with it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure to be part of your podcast. When we're talking quite a while ago, it was just nice to hear your story. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Uh, I'm basically a international business consultant. I deal mainly with spa, beauty industry, hair industry, but with the pandemic, kind of my skills have been pushed to a little bit more businesses that are very customer related businesses. So you're talking service relating businesses,
Right.
such as hotels, coffee shops, actually, anything that is service relating, so customer focused. Yeah, so it's kind of in a nutshell, basically.
No, absolutely. So Valerie, we're in obviously in the U.S. and you're in the U.K.
Yes.
It's pretty interesting how the U.S. is really starting to open up. I know New York has now done away with the mask mandates and the distancing and all that. So did L.A. So those two coasts really run the U.S. and kind of anything in between that, the
Yeah.
coast follows, right? So Texas was that outlier from the get go that said we're not going to wear masks or do anything, and so was Florida, and where I live is Arizona, and we're the same. We're kind of the Wild West, where come as you are. But in the UK, that's a huge problem for what your industry is kind of built around is meeting and
Yeah.
being with
And
people, right? So that's kind of a difficult situation. So how did you personally overcome the pandemic as a whole?
I mean, when it hit us, it was March last year in 2020, and we could feel something obviously was looming in the background.
Yeah.
And I was traveling like a crazy woman all over the shop, from Ireland to France to Spain to kind of all over the place, in particular in Europe. And we knew it was coming. We knew we were going to have a lockdown, but when it got announced, I think it just all really doomed on us. Like, okay, we can't do anything. So we had the first lockdown for 4 months, 3.5 months, 4 months of literally you cannot move, you can't do anything,
Yeah.
and that is intense. Because of the mindset that you tend to have after a while, people's livelihoods, really focusing on, okay, what do I do next? You have to wait for the government telling you what help you're going to have. So it was a very strange time.
Yeah.
But for me, on a personal level, I've been in the UK for 30 years. I'm French, but been in the UK for quite a while, and came in when I was 21, and full of dreams and hopes of kind of, you know,
But you're originally from France.
I'm originally from France,
Oh
yes.
wow. So you speak two languages.
I speak 2 languages, no more than that. I think it's plenty. Although when I speak French now, they're telling me, "Oh, you've got a really good, French," and I'm
I
thinking,
can
"Yeah,
I can hear a little bit of French English there. It's coming through a little bit. Yeah, I got it.
that's coming through for sure." But yeah, been here in the UK for a long time, so I know the UK kind of way of doing things, and I've worked in the beauty industry and the spa industry for a very long time.
Yeah.
I was employed for a very long time, but managed very large teams straight away. So very, very kind of leadership on, 250 people at one point. So it was always very large team, very much management, operational management. So 7 years ago, I set up my consultancy business and kind of grew up from there. And 2 years ago, I set up the Delforge Group because, as you know, you can't do everything yourself.
Right.
So I started having more experts coming in, dealing with different aspects of the business, so I could offload a lot of my work through different streams.
Well,
But I was still traveling.
you know what I like about European mindset, and I definitely carry the European mindset is in America, for the most part, it's starting to change, which I really enjoy, but it's starting to change. There's a lot of ego involved in American business. And in European business, there's very little ego and just confidence. Just, I did this, this is what we did, this is how we created it, this is how it's established. I have people, those people know what they're doing, I hire those people to do a task. Where in America, it's very and I like how you bring that to the show. Is I talk a lot about ego is the number one killer in business,
Yeah.
and confidence is the number one builder, and
Mhm.
I can't stress that enough. And I'm so glad that you say I created, or not I had a team that did this. We did this. It was something that was accomplished together, and it's it's fresh air. It's a breath of fresh air, because there's so many people out there that will take credit when credit's really not due to them, because I will never take credit for my people's work. I always say they are the ones that have created that. They are the ones that did all that. I'm just there as a mentor slash coach to help them through the process.
I love that. And I think that's pure leadership, actually. I do a lot of things on leadership because in a small business in particular, the owner is definitely the mindset of the owner that creates all the processes and everything else to
Right.
motivate the team. So it's all about leadership. And to me, I had to learn leadership in the hard way. I was French girl, in the English country, which is very subdued in some ways.
Yeah.
I've always thought when I was younger, a lot more straightforward, to the point, very blunt, very French in some ways. So I've had to learn the hard way when I was managing people, and when I was leading people, and realizing how do I get all of this energy, all of these different characters to follow the same dream as me, because not everyone comes to work for the same
Right.
reason. So I've learned a lot through structure, operation, leadership, to ensure that the team follows me. And when I became a consultant 7 years ago, you're suddenly on your own, and actually that's not so much fun. And also you realize you can't do everything yourself, and you don't want to do everything yourself. So why not take on board some people that are very good at what they do and very focused, and actually dealing with parts of the business that actually I don't want to deal anymore, and I want to focus on a certain part of the business.
And
We,
it's interesting that you bring that up, because I tell people all the time, I said, the worst thing you can do is to hire your strengths. Don't ever hire your strengths, only hire your weaknesses.
yes,
Only
yes,
hire
for
your weaknesses. Yeah.
sure, I love that. And it's important also to recognize that. I think that's what, when you say the whole ego and everything else, I think it's recognizing that, you know what, I need help on that. Or, do you know what, actually, the HR person that came to join us, John Back, who's doing HR and personnel and supports all the salons through processes of HR,
Right.
he's excellent at what he does. And I saw a letter that he did one day to one of my clients for a difficult staff member that she had, and said, who is this guy? I need him in the company. So that's how we start building relationship, building a network of people that are very strong at what they do, very good, that also have the same ethos and beliefs as you. I think that's very, very important, that
Mm-hmm.
they have that same ethos and the same process in some way of thinking about the business. But yeah, it's been great. I've got a retail trainer now that, although she's been with me for a while, she does all retail training for the teams. We're doing PA services with a fantastic support team.
Right.
We've got anything to do with recruitment. Same, recruitment is a very big job in itself, especially at the moment. No one wants to work, so
Really,
it's
no one wants to work. Interesting. Is that because the government's subsidizing their pay, or?
I think this is what happened last year. We had all this lockdown and the money was coming in. They got 80% of their salary. So suddenly I'm at home, I'm with mommy and daddy, perhaps, and
Yeah.
spend any money. I can't go out. So, and perhaps I'm doing a bit of haircuts on the, in the sneaky way, or I go and do a little whack somewhere in someone's house. So it's killed the industry in a
So
big way.
everyone retired.
Well, it feels like they've either retired or, there's also Brexit that we have here in the
Yeah,
UK. So
Brexit
the
is a horrible thing. I think that's the worst thing that the UK ever did. I mean,
I think we've not seen the effect of it yet because it's been pandemic, but we are starting to see the
but there's no
effect on.
value in it. There's
No,
absolutely no value whatsoever in Brexit. I just don't see it.
well, we had the best of both worlds. We still had the pounds, we still were doing a lot of things, and then suddenly, okay, we're coming out of Europe. Part of me understands some aspect of it, but the other side is like, wow, we're not seeing the effect because we've been so much into the
Right.
pandemic. We're starting to see it because a lot of
And
Eastern Europe.
and and we're
Uh,
and where small businesses really affect is in Brexit because where they used to just no problem sell product from Scotland to the UK without these horrific tariffs. Now it just hurts the small business, and the big businesses are the ones that are going to come in and sweep it up and create a monopoly. And
yeah,
it's
for
very
sure.
frustrating. It's very, very frustrating, and I don't like it because when you start taking away free capitalism, the next thing that comes is communistic. And so I'm
Yeah.
sorry, that's just reality.
It feels definitely we feel on edge because we had the first lockdown, we came back. So a lot of my clients, I've got a lot of members that work with me, and I've had to suddenly put all of my business online, which I wanted to do. I had hired a marketing and branding manager in January because I knew I was so busy. I needed to kind of rebrand, put some stuff online to kind of offload some of
When
the
you
work.
say online, you're talking about products, right?
So I'm talking coaching online basically,
Oh,
and
okay, okay, got
but
it.
also people can just go in and listen to an hour and a half of express module leadership, or we have retail online that's available as well that they can just buy modules. So
So
we've got
I that's the one thing that I've been really kind of the expert in, and I don't like to say the word expert because expert is so overused and kind of just I'm an expert in everything because I can say I'm an expert. And you're
yeah
not an expert. You know who's an expert?
yeah
Steve Jobs,
yeah
Bezos, Elon Musk. Those guys are experts, all right? So you're not an expert. But what I do like to say is I've been in the industry of products for 16 years and I've sold one product for the last 16 years and now I'm starting to branch out in other products. And that's how long it really takes for you to actually overcome all the
yes
obstacles that you are building in the product business because product is an interesting thing. You're moving an item from A to B to a
mm,
customer, and then you also have to take care of the customer service. You also have to take care of the returns
yes
if there is any. You also have to take care of just a handful of things, and it seems pretty basic and interesting, but when you get into it, it really becomes its own thing. So for you to do the service business online is it's pretty ingenious. I think a lot of people are going to that level now, and they're not doing the face to face because of the COVID. I mean, in America, we're kind of
yeah we'll be
winding
back.
down, but in Europe and in the rest of the world, I think that you
um,
guys are still kind of
yeah.
held up.
We still held up, and I kind of, I knew in January last year that I needed to offload some of my work, so I kind of hired a marketing and branding manager who started working on my platform and everything else. And obviously March happened, so suddenly it's like we need everything yesterday. So it's all about content, it's all about how to deliver an element of content that perhaps is for smaller budgets, an element for bigger budgets. So answering to a very, very wide kind of audience,
Sure.
but being able to deliver as much as I could. So part of it is you can purchase online. There are some modules that are already there. Some of them is training online, and a lot of them is coaching online. So we do membership where they have a certain amount of time with me. We have group coaching available as well. So Yeah, it's been very busy.
So let
So
me ask you, because I mean, we try to give as much, we try to compact as much information from an expert as possible in our segments. So you're really knowledgeable and really intelligent when it comes to packaging online classes for you know, for the health and beauty industry specifically, but I think it
yeah.
can be kind of unibidextrous. Tell tell the listeners out there, like, what is the number one thing it takes for you to become successful in packaging a a packaged online course?
I think he's again, it goes back to the marketing and the branding and who is your target audience? Who do
Got
you
it.
want to attract? You know, it goes back to that. And the difficulty we had at first is, in particular, when we talk about operations. So my last role before I became a consultant was head of spa operation for Steiner, which is a big corporate in the beauty world. And you know, it's all about operation. So you're talking about the product from A to B. It's all about the customer journey. How do you feel as a customer when you purchase a product, when you receive it, and everything else, isn't it? So it's all about how is that customer going to enter your world, and how you're going to entice them to your world. So
Right.
knowing markets at the beginning of the online, obviously, again, as I didn't know much about online, so I had to kind of surround myself with two extremely amazing people who helped me with the whole online, in particular Laura, who kind of saved me in the first lockdown to recreate all the content, recreate everything, and package my offering. And that's difficult because operation deals with everything. When it comes to operation, you deal with marketing, with networking, with anything to do with HR, with health and safety, with customer journey, with, you know, you deal with everything, with team, with leadership. So how do you pick all of that and putting it into a product?
Right.
So when I was saying to her, you know, she said to me, so what do you do when you go into a salon or a spa? And I said, well, I look at 5 elements of the business that are going to grow the business, and it's through the budget, because very little amount of businesses, small businesses, have a budget, believe it or not. They don't actually know their cost inside out, so they don't know the profit enough. They're waiting for the accountant to
Yeah,
give
always
them.
look at the numbers. That's exactly what I tell everyone that I talk to is if you don't know your numbers, then you don't know your business.
You just don't know, and you can't grow, and you can't find the area of growth. So I deal with budget, I deal with leadership, because that's obviously the number one. I deal with marketing strategy, how to find your target market and create that strategy for the year ahead. I deal with reception in a business such as salons or spas, or even in a coffee shop, you know, reception, how
Right.
they welcome is very important.
Right.
And I deal with retail. Retail for me is the heart of everything as well. So she said, "Oh, it's a Delforge 5." I was like, "Oh, God, yeah, I didn't think about that." So here we go. She created a whole customer journey around the Delforge 5 that was allowing the customer to be very clear on what I was delivering.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started to target the clients that, you know, I wanted to target.
Got it.
And in particular, at the beginning was the owners. Now we're starting to work with the teams a little bit more. So everything is strategized. It has to be a strategy around what you want, and finding that kind of target market, which is very important. Otherwise, you're going to shoot everywhere and end up nowhere really. I prefer being very specific,
So
and then we work and we build on that.
no, that's absolutely true. I mean, and that's what you really need to understand in as a business owner that I found out is you got to cut it in pieces of a pie. You can't eat the whole pizza as one, or else you'll lose
Yes.
it, right? You'll get you just you can't do that. It doesn't make sense. So you have to piece out every single aspect, and then obviously whatever. So it goes back to help, and again, this is another thing that I tell every person out there that wants to get involved in business, wants to get started, wants to do something. And before the pandemic, I flew around and I spoke on stages, and I would be interviewed because I hate being a keynote speaker. I hate having a PowerPoint behind me and just talking about who I am and what I
Yeah.
do. I don't like that. I like having like what we're having as a conversation, and I like being fielded questions because I want people to understand that this is not just my ego that I'm involving myself in. I'm here to actually help because I'm the one that bled, sweat, and teared for my company. I'm the one that sat there, and Arizona is very hot in the summer. And in my old office where I was doing all fulfillment, we didn't have central AC, so I would be sweating bullets while packaging coffee because I knew that the customer needed to get their product. And that's the thing that really is the differentiation, as I've found out with, listening to Napoleon Hill, Dale Carnegie, the two founding fathers of self-help in my book. Um, they say, if you're not going to do it, no one else will. And if you don't have that tenacity and you don't have that drive, then no one else is going to give it to you. And you can give it to people, you can bring them in under your wing and support them, but unless you are doing it yourself, you're never going to be successful. And it's kind of a reality check because we live in a world right now where everyone gets a participation trophy, and
Yeah.
sorry, it's not that way. I mean, in the long run, people will always go back to, I want to work for something that is more of value than get given something that is less of value.
100%. And funny enough, for both my desk, I have the quote that is my favorite quote. It takes 10 years to be an overnight success. And,
Yes, it does. Yes, it
my
does.
favorite quote, because when you look at that, you know the hard work that you're putting into it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if I hadn't surrounded myself last year when I acknowledge, okay, I need to, and it's acknowledging, and I think when you are in a business, in particular in a small business, that you are inside the business, you can't see anything else but what you're doing on a day-to-day basis is extreme day-to-day. Someone's phoning off sick, a customer's complaining, the water's not working. So you're surrounded with this whole kind of perhaps negative or day-to-day mindset can be very, very affected. So it's so important to be able to kind of look at it on an overview. And for that, coaching is great, and mentoring is amazing because it helps you to have a different pair of eyes. And so I love what I do. I love the one-to-one coaching.
I can tell you got that passion, and it's very, very simple, folks. You either work in your business or you work on your business. And if you work on your business, you'll succeed. If you work in your business, then you might as well just become an employee.
Exactly. And I think it's taking away. Now, I knew from day one that one-to-one coaching is going to sell my time. So again, selling my time means how do you cope with that? Because that's not necessarily where you're going to make, a lot of money in some respects. But for me, it's very, very important that I see a difference in the business, in the owner, that by the end of us working together, they have a completely different business, a completely different mindset. So from that, then how can I grow my business? So again, you constantly reassess. That's when you've got other experts. That's when I've got group coaching. That's when I've got the online products. That's when, I've got all different aspects of the business that can be utilized by my clients. So it goes back to their client journey. It goes back to what do I want at the end of their time with us, with the Delforge group, and how can I empower them to want more and feel that they are followed. That's, for me, is very, very important.
So in our last couple moments here, I want you to tell the listeners, so what I do is I let everyone tell their story, how they did it, what they did. And then they say, great for having you on the show. Take care. Have a nice day. Well, I'm the one that actually kind of flips the script. And I'm the one that comes out and says, I want to know the worst situation that you ever had. What was the worst thing that ever happened to you? And how did you overcome it?
On the business level?
Yes.
On the business level, I guess.
I mean, you can talk about your personal life on here. It's fine.
No, I think for sure we had the first lockdown for 4 months. We then had another lockdown in November for a month, and then we went back on the lockdown from January till mid-April, so another 3.5 months. And that particular lockdown was quite tough on people's mindset. The weather was awful. It was quite a tough one.
So out of
And I
your whole entire business career, the last 3 months has
lost,
been the
yeah,
worst.
last, I wouldn't say, do you
Wow.
know what? It wasn't necessarily the worst because it's been incredible it wasn't the worst because it's been incredible growth. I've grown the company. I'm actually in a very, very good place. So I'm very thankful and grateful for everything that I've got.
Hmm.
But what I did realize, and I'm the queen of time management, I'm extremely procedure driven,
Hmm.
extremely, in a bit, I think I should have been German, to be quite honest. I'm very
Jawohl.
square in my
Das ist
function.
gut, ja.
It's
I'm
been
part German.
well, so I think I'm very, very operational in the way it functions.
Yeah.
So therefore, for me, what was very, very difficult over the past year has been to very much um, kind of finding the time for me and my growth, personal growth. And I think when I had a week, I worked like a mad woman. Literally, the last year has been work, 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 online, making sure I build the community I wanted to build,
Right.
from training like crazy to going back into,
Right.
okay, this is a new business and I need to make it work. So I'm in a
Sure.
place I want to be. But I got to the end of the last lockdown on the 12th of April when we reopened,
Okay.
and I hadn't taken a proper day off. I hadn't taken a week out to kind of recenter. And I managed to take a week off, told all my members, look, I'm going to take a week off just to recenter. And what I realized within that week is there was about 4 different weeks within the last year where there were so many intense emotions, so many
Mm.
heartbreaking situations of people losing their livelihood, people dying, people
Yeah.
going through so much, or having friends, or very difficult situation. And I felt really I felt like I hadn't had time to process all of these emotions.
Mm.
So I'm very, very good at carrying everyone's emotion, dealing with it, looking at what we need to do next. But
Right.
every now and then, what it made me realize is sometimes you do need to take that step back, and you need to take that time out, and you need to switch off from everything. You need to be able. So I was good at telling all my clients, and somehow I didn't do it myself because I wanted to carry on and carry on and carry on. So it made me realize when I had that week of, okay, you've got to go back to that work-life balance. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it consumes you, even though you're trying to build your dream, which I am, but then it consumes you in the other side. So it's finding that balance. And the only way you can do that is making sure you take time out for yourself.
Got
And
it.
don't forget that. So I
Got it.
can't say it's the worst thing, but it's definitely was a light bulb moment, even though I tell my clients I wasn't doing it myself.
Right.
So it's important to be able to assess and process things, I believe.
And I agree with that. So the thing is all business owners, every single one of us, we are usually stressed and taxed. Usually, unless you have an Amazon store and you're making $40 a day, and you're just chilling because
Yeah,
you
yeah,
made your net, you made your nut, and you, I call it it, there's entrepreneurs, and then there's just workers, and
yeah,
there's nothing wrong for either part. Some people are driven, some people you just want to get the confidence that they're going to get their paycheck and that they're going to get what their cost
yeah,
is. So an entrepreneur, and this is a perfect segue, is an entrepreneur will jump off the highest cliff of a mountain and assemble an airplane on the way down.
mm,
Meaning we live at the edge of failure on a daily basis. And a lot of us really respect that we can fail within days
yeah,
and we can succeed within days. And we get comfortable with being uncomfortable. My grandfather was one of my biggest mentors in my life, super successful, multi-millionaire, but he's the one that really taught me to be uncomfortable to be comfortable.
yeah,
And when you say that, sometimes you have to take time out of your day or week to reflect, excuse me, on what you really want to accomplish. I 100% agree with that because we live in such stressful environment.
mm,
I'm starting to find myself watching you know, I can't say this like as in like this is a horrible show. I'm saying that Netflix and
Yeah.
Hulu and everyone, they're starting to come out with extremely violent and gory things. And I have to say that like I can see why they have an audience, because a lot of people in this world are stressed and they want to see something that's kind of more horrific so that they can just come to peace with their own stress, you know.
I'm so, and they don't know how to have that switch off. But
Right.
I tell my clients, and this is something that I've done a long time ago, where, but again, when you're going through a lot of things that we've gone through for the past year, for example, you kind of go back to your default mechanism, your default system,
Yeah.
which is kind of busy. And I don't mind working. I love working. I love what I do. But it's being able, for example, to have two phones, your work phone and your personal phone, switch it off. When you finish, you just put your work phone out and
Yeah.
that's it.
No, I'm with you. I'm
Simple
with
as
you.
that.
I'm with
Simple
you.
as that. You can mentally switch off.
Yeah.
You can be able to be like, what, I'm going to become more creative by
Right.
having that. I'm not talking about, a week off all the time, but a weekend off, a Sunday off,
Yeah.
But throughout the whole pandemic, I don't think I had a proper day off. And I think I realized it kind of caught up with me.
Well,
Uh,
I will tell you, Valerie, you did it. Congratulations. We went over the 30-minute mark, and it was really insightful that we let it run. So, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate everything that you said on the show, because I think there's a lot to take away from this. Uh, when our listeners listen to this, they need to understand what entrepreneurs really go through on a daily basis. And you're absolutely right. You're going through, is the water going to be turned off? Am I going to be able to cover the payroll? Am I going to be able to cover the rent? Am I going to be able to do this? On top of, where's my sales? Where's my marketing? Where's everything? You
exactly.
know, it's a lot to handle. And I tell people all the time that want to get into entrepreneurialism, I say it's a really, really rewarding,
Mm.
career, but it's the most stressful environment you're ever going to be in. I mean, I can think of a couple other stressful environments, like a soldier or a police officer, or
Yeah.
like a medic, or someone in the ER, and that's a different stress. That's life or death. But for financial stress, there's nothing more stressful than being an entrepreneur.
100%. So surround yourself with people that can support you and help you,
Yeah.
and look after your mindset and your well-being somehow. It's a big word that's thrown out a lot at the moment, mental health and everything else, but it's important to be able to take that step back and overview the business in perhaps a different way, which is which can work if you think differently.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on the show. It's been an honor. And for everyone out there, we really hope that you got some tidbits of information. I know I did. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.